now with this out of the way, let's go and define let's go and define the logic for our code generation. So now, because it's going to be sort of like a complex stuff, because okay, not really complex, but it's going to be long, like it's not one small simple stuff. So I'm going to create like a new file here. I'll call it mempasses dot resolvers, even if it's just one dot yes, so that I can put this. If it was something short, yes, then. But then, so here I'm just going to import virtual. So I'm going to import virtual. Should I import virtual here, or let me just define it? So I'm going to export. So I'm going to call it generate code. Generates mem code. I don't have to put mem, right? I think, but generate code. So I'm just going to do this. Async data, then I'm going to get the stuff from the class, then context. The context will be hook context coming from the declaration, and then the mem service. Actually, this hook context can also come from where's that again? Yeah, it can also come from as Feathers.js /Feathers, but please don't let it come from there. Let it come from the declaration, because Feathers has already kind of added it to the declaration. This is it here, hook context. So Feathers created like set up like the hook context specifically for this application, so it's better to use that one. So here we go. So in this case, I would start with, just because I don't know, we don't really have something special we want to use to kind of generate this code, but we want to make sure that it depends on some of the things that already exist. So for example, you can look at something like time-based factors. So for example, I can call it time, I guess, yeah, let me call it time based factors. So in this case, I'm going to put like an array. So inside the array, the first thing I'm going to do is to the dates dot now. Then for this one, that means I'm just looking at the current time, right? Okay, then there's this. I want to also look at the nanosecond precision, just in case somebody apply, maybe two people apply at the same time. So in that case, I can use process.hr. I think there's this hr time in this here. Then I can do big int, but then big int is going to look weird here. So big int is going to return like time in this kind of format, right? So it's going to return it in this kind of format. So what I can do with this is that I can convert it to a string and provide a radix. In my case, I like using 16. That means turn it to like an hexadecimal stuff. So this is nothing assigned with the high resolution time, just nanosecond precision. That's what I'm thinking of. So that's for the time-based factors, right? So another thing would be like, we can't use user-based factors because we don't really have a user here. So, but we can look at the requests, like, okay, what of request-based factors? First of all, this should be capital B. So requests based factors. You can also use the same like this stuff. So one thing we want to look at is like the ID of the request. I think there's usually an ID that you can find it in like the params, in the headers. But then the problem with this is that so I don't know, should I use this? Should I use X forwarded for, or I should just use S requests ID? Use forwarded for because I don't know. I use S request ID. Let me see if there's any suggestion I might get for that. I think forwarded for should be fine. No. Yeah, maybe it's fine. Otherwise, if you're not able to get that, we can go with params. We can't really get IP here because we are not in Express.js. So instead, I think I'll just go with request. Let me check the difference online. Okay, so if you're using X request ID, it means that the client is going to generate some random ID and pass it to the server. But if we are using X forwarded for, it means we'll be looking at the IP address. In my case, I'm fine with X request ID, so the clients can send that to us. So they can send us some random ID for that particular user. So if they don't send anything, set it to no. And there is a silly mistake of mine here, so request ID sent by the client. So then next thing, we're looking at the params, then the IP. Or we can just use the headers X forwarded for context params IP. But then we'll get a complaint because that doesn't exist. So I think I will just go for this. So okay, this video is getting long, so let me just finish with the request based factors because those ones are usually tricky. Then the user agent is something else I want to use. So I think this already knows like I would like to use that. So I would like to use the user agents. I also like to take into consideration what method, like to which this thing is the request being sent to. That's the context dot method, which basically tells you like what type of service. In our case, that would be useless because we already know that it's always a post, it's always a create method we are using in this case. But the reason I'm still going to put it is because this is a function, right? So, and meaning it can be used multiple times, you can use it anywhere. So that's the reason I'm still going to put it. So I'm improving on this. I think I don't have to put any comment on this one. So, and then the paths, which typically will still be the same, but then doesn't matter. And then the provider. So So the provider can be gotten from the params. So the provider is like what type of so if I open on it, you would see some pretty jargons. But okay, so I have this. I'm looking at the time, so I have this. So I think this should be okay. This should be enough. I think. Not sure yet, but it should be enough. Then I would still like to kind of get some server-based factors to, yeah, next video.